Hey, what's going on everybody? Alex here with Freedom Mowers. Hope you guys are having a good one. Today we are going to be jumping into starting on a new project. I don't really know how far I'm going to get with it right now, but we'll go ahead and start out. This is going to be the, I believe, 1968 Sears Custom 7. This was one of the 3 that I got recently of the Sears garden tractors. This one does not have the original engine. This should have a 7 horsepower Tecumseh. It has been repowered at some point with a Kohler Magnum 12, which is off from a wheel horse from probably the early 90s. If you're familiar with the Kohler K-Series engines, this is actually a Kohler K301. So this is what this block is basically the same as the all the older Kohlers. This is just an upgrade now with the upgraded ignition and the charging system. I'm not sure about the carburetor. I'm assuming that's probably upgraded as well. So kind of show you guys a little bit about this machine. This one does have the big 16-inch wheels with the tractor tires, and it has some wheel weights. I took one of the wheel weights off the other day. This tire, since I got it, was not holding air even though it had been tubed. And these tires are pretty much shot, and I don't necessarily have the funds right now to just put some brand new ag tires on this machine. So I rolled the dice the other day and I got some slime for tubes, which I've never used before, and it calls for like 8 ounces for a dirt bike tire. I put 12 ounces in this inner tube, and it's been about 3 or 4 days now, and it's been holding air, so I think it's gonna work for the time being. Just kind of a band-aid on the problem. The front bushings on this tractor are just totally not there. I joined the Sears Suburban Tractor Club on Facebook, and I've been meeting some folks in there, and I asked a question about the bushings the other day. Someone reached out to me, and he basically gave the bushings to me. I'm paying for shipping, so those should be here this week, and so should have some new front bushings. Tires should be holding air in the rear. I have kind of gone through the gears in the transmission and just turned the engine by hand just to see and make sure, but it seems like it's going into all the gears, so I think we're going to have a pretty good machine here. But the goal here today, the problem I'm having, is that when I first got it, I did put the jumper pack to it and was able to get the starter to kind of bump a little bit, but it was not engaging on the flywheel. And so I was getting ready to start messing with this a little bit yesterday. I tried putting the jumper pack on it again, and I was trying to pull the shroud open a little bit to see if maybe the gear was just kind of caught and it wasn't engaging the flywheel right. But now I can't seem to get the starter to even work, and I'm not sure if it burned up or what's going on with it, or a bad connection. The starter on these is kind of an odd design. It's not like your standard one where you can just, take 2 bolts and take the whole unit off. The way that this is, you have that outer casing for the main body, and then the back half, and your top portion, but basically it's mounted to the actual frame of the engine. So what I have to do is take out, there's 2 bolts, one right here behind the dipstick and the other one's right behind it on the lower side. And basically you'll slide the starter back out and you're gonna try to keep all the pieces together. It's just kind of an odd design. I haven't really seen one like that. The other problem I'm running into is that without the dipstick removed, you can't get to those bolts. So with this being such a tight squeeze in this engine bay, what I want to do is go ahead and just pull the engine on this. That way I can get it out in the open. I can take that starter apart and start looking at that and kind of clean up some of this stuff when I put it back together, because this wiring is in bad shape. I mean, this wire right here looks burnt. They're brittle, just bad connections. So I would like to redo the wiring. There's really not a whole lot to this one. It just has, I believe, just a kill switch to the magneto, an amp meter, like a momentary push button, and throttle. And that's pretty much it on here. There's no headlights, no other electronics, so this should be pretty bare bones basic. And so yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I don't think I'm really gonna film pulling the engine off from here. I'll show you guys. From what I've been able to tell, there's only 3 mounting bolts holding this one on. It looks like they had to use some kind of shim down here at the bottom. And so I'll have the 3 bolts, fuel line. I need to take the clutch rod off and the spring, pull the belt, and remove the wiring. And I believe that should be it. And then I can go ahead and pull the engine off from here, probably push the tractor back outside for now, and I can start tearing into this thing. So it's kind of where we're at with it and where we're gonna start. And this tractor, I'm not really sure what I'm gonna do between the 2 tractors yet. Ultimately, I would like to tear them down and get them repainted. And on the other one, the blue Suburban 12, I need to go through the charging system, try to get all that fixed up. So at one point, these are gonna get broken down and repainted and try to get them somewhat restored. I'm just not sure yet when exactly and which one I'm gonna do first. But we did get the blue Suburban 12 up and running. We just don't have a charging system on that one, and I would like to get this one up and running and see what's going on with it, and at least get everything functional. And then once everything's functional and working, can tear the mowers down, or the garden tractors down, and start on some actual restoration. But that is where we're at. I'm gonna go ahead and get started on this, and I'll show you guys when I have basically everything removed, and then I'll show you guys when I get this engine pulled off. All right, well, we are back. Try not to make this too shaky. I'll show you guys where I'm at. Just pulled the battery out, and I have everything disconnected here. I just left this wire still on the starter for now. Just had the throttle, which is on there. I actually had to pull the tin. There was a little piece of tin shielding that was on the front here. I had to pull that and get my fancy new flashlight here. So there's just a little screw right here, and had to unscrew that, pull the throttle cable out. I ended up just cutting the old fuel line because this stuff is just dry rotted as can be. So throttle, fuel is taken off. And got all the wiring disconnected. A bunch of these wiring, I mean, the wiring was rough on here. Took the clutch rod off and the spring, and then just took the belt loose. And basically, like I thought, they just have some metal shims they had underneath. And then, so they actually had this bolt went through one of the ears on the motor, went down through, and then they just had this thick piece of plate steel that they had tapped, and basically it crimped the engine down on the backside. So that's how they had this mounted. But this thing is heavy as can be, but it's loose, so I am gonna back this up a little bit and get this off from here and show you guys when it's taken off. All right, well, I'm just gonna go ahead and tell you guys that this motor is not light. I am gonna guess this probably weighs close to 100 pounds, but it is off. So now you guys can see kind of what I was talking about. They just had looks like they had multiple holes drilled in this thing, and they just had some like plate steel, pretty much, some spacers. But I got it off, and gonna roll this outside so we got some room to work here. All right, well, got that pushed outside for now, and to get the dipstick off from here, I'm just gonna go ahead and assume I'm gonna have to drain the oil, because otherwise I'm gonna have a huge mess when I take it off. So I started to crack the drain bolt loose. Unfortunately, this oil is gonna be cold because can't warm it up. Alright, well, this is about as close and as low as I can get you guys here. I've got these 3 flathead screws, which are hopefully gonna come out. I want to get in there and get a good bite, and then they're not in there that bad. At least that one. Shouldn't speak too soon. Man, those are loose enough. The other one just cracked right loose. I was expecting these to be like super tight. Alright, so we will get these off. Get my magnetic tray here. Alright. I'm assuming there's just a seal. Unless I missed a screw somewhere. Let me move you guys for a sec here. It's probably just got a seal on it. I'm not gonna try to pry too hard. There we go, yep. Alright. I'll have to obviously RTV this back on when we get to that point. It looks like at this point start getting into trying to get this starter off, but I probably won't bore you guys with taking some of the stuff loose. I just mainly need to get to these 2 bolts, and then I'll show you guys when I get it off from here. Alright guys, well, I got it off, so you can see now how that goes. You just have the big basically ear that comes off the side, and those 2 bolts come through and mount everything to it. Wasn't too bad getting it off from there. I was a little worried one of these bolts didn't seem like it wanted to come loose, and I thought it was gonna break, but it ended up cracking loose. That's the good news, that it came off. Let me get this flashlight here. The brushes look to be in fair shape on here. The rest looks just extremely dirty. That's not really my main concern here, because I can clean all this up. The problem is these chunks that are sitting here. Let me get this stood up real quick. Yeah, these chunks right here. See how they all stick together? Well, you guys know what that is. So we're missing a huge section of magnet here. So I don't think this is going to be savable. There's big chunks of magnet missing. I mean, even if I clean this up, I don't think it's going to work, which is pretty unfortunate. Because I looked earlier today, and I think they're about like $60, $60 or $80 for a starter on this motor, and it's still a roll of the dice, because I don't even know if this was a healthy motor to begin with. So you could be spending $60 to $80 on a starter, and have a bad motor on here. So I'm not really sure where I'm gonna go yet on this. I don't see why there'd be any reason that there was an issue with this. I mean, I've turned it over by hand. I've got this rag in here, but that's just the coil. Some rust on the flywheel, but it's got strong compression and it rolls over smooth. Some other things on here. So it's got the case mounted fuel pump, which, you know, is not that big of a deal if we were to have to repair that. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at now. I have this other option. I can try to see if I could fabricate something to get... This is about the only engine I have right now that might be safe, you know, might be usable. I mean, I have a little 2 horsepower, which is for my mini bike. That motor's pretty much trash. That's a 6 horsepower Tecumseh. I've got a 5 horsepower Tecumseh, but that needs all kinds of seals. Last time I knew, and that was a couple years ago, it's been sitting in the shed. And this came off from a tiller. This is a 6 horsepower Intech. I was looking at it yesterday. You guys can see how gravy these carburetors were. Well, this is the one that was on it. That thing is done. No way to even save those. But this might be an option too. It's just a bummer, because it would be nice just to have a pull start machine where I could just go pull start it, use it. I mean, that this machine was originally a 7 horsepower, so 6 horsepower is not going to make a ton of difference, but this motor here is pretty sweet and stout, and I'll be able to pull anything I want with that, not have any engine lugging issues. Yeah, I don't know, kind of up in the air. I was really in hopes that maybe it just needed some cleaning inside of that and the magnets weren't broken, but you know, it is what it is. So I think we are gonna leave off on this video today, kind of where we're at a standstill. I'm gonna figure out, I'm gonna look at some options for some starters. Maybe I can find one a little bit cheaper. I mean, if I could find one for like 30-40 bucks, that would be great, just to stick on here and, you know, test the motor out and everything else and get that mounted back up. But we'll see. I have got stuff everywhere here in the shop right now. I've got motors, starters, pieces everywhere. The whole floor is stuff everywhere, oil pan. So I guess I'm just gonna kind of wrap up here and clean up, and we'll finish up the video. So thank you guys for joining in. We are gonna make some progress on this tractor one way or the other. It's just a matter of which option's gonna be best, and we'll just kind of take it from there, see what happens. Hopefully you guys enjoy this, and I'm looking forward to getting this machine going too. And I think this will be a fun one to cruise around the yard and do some hauling with, some toting around, whatever I need to do. And yeah, so thank you guys for joining in. And on that note, let freedom ring and let those small engines sing. I'll catch you guys in the next video.